So I do want to say before, saying anything about the video, that depression is something that's not taken lightly. If you do feel like you're depressed or you need to speak with someone, please reach out to anyone, someone. If you feel like you have no one, reach out to me. I'll listen. I'll talk to you. I've dealt with depression, especially recently, with a couple of things that's been happening with me. But please reach out, talk to someone, and hopefully you can get the help that you do need.
My soul is tormented by a succubus. Calling sis, pencil dripping from the way I spit. Fell in love with this. Sis got music, now she in my grips. Wanna take a sip of her only sign says sits. No.
Alright, so this video is going to pretty much be like the last one, where I'm going to show you the basic bare bones of what I'm playing, but it's going to be a little bit different. I will still show you the options that you do have for alternatives. This is for standard, mind you. So I'm going to show you alternatives, and then I'm going to show you what the deck could or should look like, and I'll give explanations after EB08, My Glorious Justice. So, just like before, got a starter. I'll shoot that Eric. Also, I'm trying out a new format, so tell me how you guys like it. So, Officer Cadet Eric, he's, standard starter stuff. Haha, money joke. On ride, draw a card. Pretty good. Gets you at your advantage. And we're going to start from grade 3s and work our ways down. 4 Naval Gazer. Keep calling him Naval Laser because of My Hero Academia. 3 Maelstrom. And
Riptide Dragon.
Now, Naval Gazer, he's pretty good. He restands a rear guard. If you make your field to the point where you can have both Riptides on board, and you can make 4 attacks on your turn, and then swing with these guys, and then swing with him, and have Riptide stand up for 42 or 32 or 42 or whatever it is that you get them up to. That's pretty nice. I won in quite a few games doing that. It's pretty nice. Maelstrom is Maelstrom. I usually ride Maelstrom first, if I can, just because first ride, the only pressure you have is just, him, and usually your opponent just lets it through and they don't care. But this one, they'll let this attack through, but then they'll have to deal with the pressure that comes for the 2 attacks afterwards, usually one of which is a Riptide swinging for 35 to 45 if it's on an Excel circle. So, there's that. And for the grade 3s, these could be Diamantes. It's either these or the Maelstroms could be Diamantes. Just because if you want those extra attacks, like I said before, I'm going for the most cost efficient, and I'm going for consistency. Like this consistently, it can be good. And this, they don't need Counterblast. Like, it's great if you get to use the Counterblast skill, but you don't need the Counterblast to use the threat. And this one, you just need to make 4 attacks, and it's not really that hard as long as you have 1 Excel circle. Alright, so that's it for the 3s. Next, I'm just going to do these guys together, or, well, not together, but Tidal Assault. Tidal Assault is Tidal Assault. He just does Tidal Assault things. He enables you attacks. You attack with him first. You don't even really care. Like, I found that I'm finding less and less that I care about him not swinging first. So if I have him and Algos on board, albeit that's not the most efficient turn, but I don't care if I don't swing with him first. If there's something else on board that needs to swing first, usually let it go. Because if I get a trigger or if it's on an Excel circle, that's okay. Tidal Assault's Tidal Assault. He's going to do Tidal Assault things. Soul Blasting 1 to just restand. Next, for Algos, basically the same reasons. These 2 on the turn 2 play, pretty stupid. Algos he's the main reason for the turn 2 pressure turn on Aqua Force and Standard. Like, yeah, you can do Tidal Assault, but it's not as effective as if you have if you have these 2 cards on board, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 attacks, just 2 cards. Yesterday, I think I got like I got 6 attacks on my turn 2, just because of these 2 cards and the next card that I'm going to show you actually, and it is Tier Knight Please, the promo, the shop promo that's actually out now. What he does is when your Vanguard attacks, you send him to the drop zone. Your Vanguard gets plus 10k, and it gets the skill. If it hits, you get to draw a card, which on turn 2, your opponent's not really going to want to guard a 19k to 27k rear guard that potentially can draw you a card. They're not going to usually want to block it. And if they do, it's either a perfect guard coming out of their hand or a 20k and some more guard, because if you do just 1 to pass, I don't know what to tell you, but yeah. Grade 2 lineup is pretty solid. Next, we're down to the grade 1s. Yeah, this video is not going to be as lengthy as I thought it would be, but that's okay. 4 Tier Knight Theos. Theo is Theo because Theo is Theo. Theo provides pressure, which your opponent, after the first time they get smacked with it with the Maelstrom, they're like, well, I don't want that to hit anymore, because it gives power to other units and it's going to make them easier. It's going to make it harder for me to guard later. So unless they just got a handful of perfect guards and protect markers, it's not too much fun on their part. So I put Theo at 4 just because for right now and before EV08, he's like one of the best grade 1s we have. Even then, it still stands true, but I hold him at a different number then. 3 Penguins just for resources. I like to countercharge and I like to give my units power. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Next, 3 Influence Dagger. Influence Dagger is pretty nice, actually. For those of you that don't know, after the 3rd battle, so that includes the 3rd battle, he gets plus 3k for every attack that he sees. Including, let's say you had 7 attacks and he's the 7th one, it includes him. So that would be 3, attack 4, attack 5, attack 6, attack 7. So that'd be plus 15k to this little guy. He'd be at 22k just because you had him out there. And next, it's technically 1 card, but it's 2 cards. Is Viviana, and then the promo Spear Ray Sailor. Wow, I can't talk. But Spear Ray Sailor, she hasn't come into play much. I usually just use her to guard. I can't find my 2nd copy of her, which is why she's in there. But she is good pressure, especially for Navel Gazer. If you stick her behind Navel Gazer, because people are going to see like, oh crap, this is a 30k column with Navel Gazer, but if you use Please, it's a 40k column. I'm just not going to block it. You can have your stupid card. So then this goes into Soul to feed your Tidal Assaults, and you get an extra card out of it. Technically, you would get 2, because if they let Navel Gazer hit because of Please, then you get 2 extra cards. And that's technically another drive check that you didn't drive check. So that's 2 cards they don't know about in your hand. Now, to round this all out, we got the triggers. What I was playing, 6 crit, 6 draw, and of course 4 heal. 6 crit just because I feel like I want to try to end you quickly, and me trying to end you quickly is just doing it with crits. I understand that fronts are somewhat better, but that's more for a tempo based. This is supposed to be just fast paced aggression. And like you saw how, well, I showed you how on turn 2 I can get like at the very least 4 attacks. This is just to help speed that up. Draw triggers so I can get more of my pieces faster. I'm actually thinking about going down to 7.5 in favor of crits, and heals are not going anywhere. So, I mean, there are some people that do play the 8 crit, 8 front builds, and those are some spice that I'm not even ready for. Alright, so now I said that there would be some. I'll show you where you have your flex spots for Aqua Force. I already did mention earlier, you could take out either the Maelstroms or the Riptides and replace them with Diamantes, but that's if you want to go for a multi-attack build. And then if you did that, I would recommend either A, adding in a 4th Penguin and taking out probably, this is supposed to be a Viviana, so take out a Viviana. I would take that out and do that, and then add in one more Influent Dagger, because Influent Dagger would benefit greatly from seeing Diamantes on the board and having more attacks. So that's your grade 1 and grade 2 spot, or grade 1 and grade 3 spots that have flex for that. Now, the reason why I didn't mention anything about grade 2 is because until EBO8, in my opinion, this 12 grade 2 lineup is perfect. And when it comes out, when EBO8 comes out, 12 grade 2s are still going to be ran. Just this guy's getting yeeted out of the deck really quickly. And at that time, he would have been around for a month and a half. And it's sad because he's a really good unit, but you can also use him in a Naval Gazer build, like a pure Naval Gazer build. Like even then, actually, I don't even know if you would use him then, but he's really, like, Heartbleeds is really good, but he Kageros himself to go ahead and get you a plus. So anyway, now on for the next part. Okay, so promised you this EBO8 post list, so now here we go. Again, we're gonna start off with Eric, because Eric, unless you want to use the Draco Kid. And I want to talk about these cards probably ad nauseum. Hopefully not. For Glory Maelstrom. Now, Glory Maelstrom, for those of you who can't read this, it is, and I want to have the name, I want to have the card up on the screen, so just pause it if you want to read it. Glory Maelstrom is act Counterblast 1. During the turn that you activate the skill, your opponent cannot intercept, and they can only use one card to guard from their hand per attack. Also, if you have a Maelstrom in Soul, your front row gets +10. So Counterblast 1, get a trigger, and it's light guard restrict. Because it doesn't specifically restrict any grade or anything like that. It just restricts the amount of cards you can use to guard. I love this card. It's the card that's going to take us into next year and help carry us for most of our wins. Now, there's a thing that you have to actually be careful about, which I'm going to go over with later on about this card. And yeah, so anyway, next, 3 Maelstroms. This one, not debatable, like, because you can run the deck without Maelstrom, but Glory Maelstrom needs a Maelstrom in Soul, and the more Maelstroms you have, the easier it is to achieve that goal. And if you ride him first, you can make them waste most of their cards on or they're gonna see, like, okay, so there's Maelstrom, I'm expecting Glory Maelstrom, I'm going to save my cards. So they might even let the skill go off just because of that. And if they don't, they're wasting more cards to use to save up for Glory Maelstrom, even though they can only use one at a time. And like I said earlier about him, he can restand. He's pretty good. He's a lot better than people give him credit for. Because if it's the first grade 3 turn and you're at grade 3 but your opponent's at grade 2, you don't need to use the Counterblast 1 skill. But if they are, then you kind of have to. And then
Riptide Dragon.
I'm still going with Riptide because, like I said, I'm going for the cost efficient. I'm going for consistency. And this card, it hits numbers and it helps, especially with Glory Maelstrom. Some people have tried testing out Blood Bomber. Myself is included in there. Blood Bomber, while it is good, gives you awkward attack patterns. Because if you have an Algos on the board and you have a Blood Bomber, and then you swing with Algos, and then they hit a trigger because they have no rear guards out, Blood Bomber either has to be used then, or you lose an attack essentially for no reason. And wasting a card out of hand is not really efficient, which is what I said I was going for, which was efficiency. If they want to kill my card, they come after it. I'll let them kill it, but come after it. I'm not going to go kill it myself for you. Anyway, on the grade 2s. Back again with our boy Tidal Assault. Same reasons as before. He's just an amazing unit. Helps us get it to our attack count. Algos. C card a few seconds ago. Like these two are just like pretty much brain dead. No questions asked about them. And then Coral Assault. 4 Coral Assault, just because he gives us power, he gives us a card, he gives us soul. What else do you need? Like, if there's, like, granted, you need a little bit of commitment, and he's better if you have the cards turn 2 to do it, then he's good then. But he shines best, in my opinion, when you're on your, like, second grade 3 turn. Because that's when you know you're going to, most likely, unless you're facing removal, or you're getting really lucky with your draw triggers, you're going to have all the units to have to provide for him, to have 4 other units on the board for him to get the plus 15. And you know if you have enough units for 4 on the board, then he's going to have he's going to meet the 4th attack requirement to at the end of the turn go into soul and then draw you a card. So that's pretty much it for the grade 2s. The grade 2s are pretty solid. I don't think anything is going to ever push any of those 3 cards out of the deck. Like, they may get reduced in number, like Coral Assault maybe one day might be reduced to like 2 or 3 if we, in our next wave of support, we get like a busted grade 2. But I highly doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. Grade 1s. 4 Wheel Assaults. Wheel Assault is Wheel Assault because Wheel Assault is Wheel Assault. A lot of people that I've heard of or I've seen have said, oh, what's the point in the new Wheel Assault? The new Wheel Assault is just, he's just like that OTT grade 1 or that Grand Blue grade 1. Yeah, and those cards are still ran at 4 today, even though like OTT's gotten they're getting their 3rd round of support, Grand Blue's getting their 2nd round of support. Those cards are ran at 4 still. The new Wheel Assault is just counter, when you ride on them, counterblast 1, draw a card, and then call a card. So you don't get to actually plus, but you get to wash. You use 1 resource, you draw 1 card, and you call 1 card. It doesn't matter what grade that card is. So you could just get old Riptide on the board, start swinging on turn 2 for 9, 9, 9, 9, 32. If that doesn't waste a lot of cards or put some damage on the board, I don't know what will. Also, Wheel Assault's other skill is on rear guard. When it gets done boosting, doesn't matter what it boosts, as long as it boosts, then swap the position of 2 rear guards on the board. Pretty good if you ask me. I can't ask for a better grade 1 in Aqua Force. Like, if there is one, that's wow. Next, 3 Theo. Told you he was going to go down for me. The only other way he would go even lower is if I add in 1 more of the next card. But Theo, same reasons before. He's just on hit pressure. If for some reason you can't get Wheel Assault behind your Vanguard, you at least have this. And if you do, put this behind a Riptide and watch your opponent squirm. Or put this behind a Coral Assault. It's pretty nice. Okay. And now, Nicolas. Nicolas is, like, I want to put him at 4. But to me, he's not that important. Because after you see, like, 1 to 2 Algos in your hand, getting his search skill is not that, it's not that great. You're not going to see it that much. It's like, I think after you have 2, it's like an 8.6% chance of actually seeing another Algos, depending on what phase of the game you are in. But still, I'm just speaking like if you did your opening hand, you had an Algos already, and then you drew into another Algos, and then you rode him. It's like an 8.6% chance of actually getting him. For the math nerds out there, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me what the actual percentage is in the comments. Anyway, but yeah, so the only other reason why I keep him in here is because he's an 11k booster. Behind Tidal Assault, that's 20. Behind Coral Assault, that's a 35, which says fuck you to force numbers. Behind Riptide, that's a 43, which is, again, fuck you to force numbers. A lot of the reasons why I like run this is just, you can run it just because if you need to find a grade 2, it's a good ride target. It's not horrible. You can just call it out on rearguard. Who cares? It still gets you a card for free, and it gets power for free. So Nikolai's, if I were to put him up to 4, I would take out 1 Theo though. And the final grade 1, like Signal Spinning Soldier. So like I said, I'm all about my resources. He gives power to my restanders. He gives power to anything. You can put him behind Vanguard and give the Vanguard +5. Like, this is actually important. Like, if anything, if I were to make any changes, this would become a Coral Assault. Because this requires you to hit, or it requires it to boost something that hits, or it hits itself. And Coral Assault is wave 3 or wave 4. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I think it's wave 2 or 3, but it might be wave 3 or wave 4. Then you Soul Blast 1 and that unit gets plus 5k. So that's a guaranteed 5k versus a you have to hit 8k power boost. And not to mention that Theo's also at 8k, so you have to weigh out your options and see what's best for you. Now, on to the triggers. Now, as last build, we were going with crits. This build, we are going with 6 fronts. And again, 6 draw. And again, 4 heal. Heals and draws, same reasons. This one for fronts, because if you hit a front while you're on Glory Maelstrom, that's plus 20k to your front row. I don't know about you, but that's already a heal trigger out of hand. And that's the only thing that they can guard with. Like, the literal only thing they can guard with. So if for some reason you had like a penguin behind something, like, that makes it unblockable for them. And you can just straight murder your opponent. Well, not murder, because that's, that's a crime. But it's really, really nice to actually be able to get this off and just see like how good the deck can be. Now, have I done testing with Calm Assault yet? No, just because my printer ran out of ink. So I don't know how good he is. For those of you who are Aqua Force aficionados who have actually had a chance to do it, to test with Calm Assault, leave your comments down in the comments below. Tell me how it's been going for you. Tell me like how my builds for standard, for post and pre EB08 differ from mine. Just let me know. And again, please just adhere to that message that I left earlier in the beginning, because you never know what somebody's going through and who may or may not have a hard time. But with that being said, I will be at Chicago Regionals. Woo. If you see me, feel free. Come up to me, talk to me, say hi, give me an apple. I don't know. Anyway, I think this is pretty much it. There's still a couple more lessons in the I'm going to teach you how to play Aqua Force builds. I think next I'm going to start talking about managing your resources, because that's definitely a huge thing that I see when because like sometimes I go on CFA and I just watch matches, and anytime I see somebody playing Aqua Force, it's like they're not managing their resources properly, or they got the right result from a play, but they did it the wrong way, if that makes sense. So they were right, but they were wrong how they were right. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, everything in between, see you guys around next time.